Greetings everyone, it's C2. It's 6 p.m. in the afternoon. I just slept about 12 hours because I went to bed too early and I got to work tonight, so I ended up just staying asleep as long as I could. And I ended up having a crazy dream, so I thought I'd make a video and tell you about my crazy dream I had. I'm wearing this bandana because my hair was sticking out all crazy because I slept so long, so just ignore that and I'm going to just get into it. The real part of the dream that I want to talk about is towards the end. So before that happened, there's a little interesting part that I remember that I was working at this place and my car broke down or something happened to my car. Maybe I lost my... No, I didn't lose my keys. Something happened to it. And I had to buy a new car. And I got like a really cheap one. It was like almost exactly like my old car, only it was a slightly different model. And the tires were kind of like smooth on it. It was pretty shitty. But then I was driving back home and I was on this farm, and I got back to my farm and it was like, I realized that I was in some game, you know, like Arma 2 or Grand Theft Auto or something, because there's all these cars around my farm that I had. Like there was the military off-road for Arma 2 was there, and there was like a Ferrari and like a bunch of other shitty cars that I'd stolen from some game. I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just use those cars? Why did I buy a new car? I'll just drive this Ferrari to work. Who cares? I just realized that none of those cars needed keys because you just get in them and you drive them, because it's how a video game works. You don't need keys. So I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have any insurance or license plates, but hell, as a car, you could drive to work in these cars just as good. So I just like started driving a Ferrari around. It's pretty sweet. But then, the real part of the dream I want to talk about was like, I don't know if I was in this part of the dream at the beginning. Maybe I was like a student in this college, because there was this guy. I think he's the same guy that's on this TV show right now. The one where he's like this crazy college professor and he helps the police with psychological cases. Anyway, he's like the professor. And I think Carrie Russell, that's in this other TV show called The Americans, I think she played like the woman that was with him. And then there was like this other girl that was like this conspiracy theorist girl, right? So he was like kind of looking for aliens. And he wanted to collect molecules of helium-3 in order to build a spaceship to get to the moon, because they detected some kind of base on the moon or something and they wanted to get there, right? So he built this detector to detect helium-3. And it had like this coating underneath it. And like he was explaining how it all worked to this woman. But like, okay, before that, he was in this class, I think it happened after in the dream, but it's actually before, like a prequel or something. Let me just explain what was going on. He was explaining how all these helium-3 molecules would work. I don't know if it was used as fuel or fuel and had something to do with aliens or like a way to communicate with them, because he was explaining how like they spiral off like a galaxy would, and like one arm of it's like the neutrino part and one part of it's like something else. So then this girl with all the crazy conspiracy theories was like, all the other students were given like these normal reasons why it would be like that, and she was saying all this crazy shit about the Egyptians, and if you drew these triangles from the neutrino arm to this, and you connected over here, and it would spiral off in this fractal pattern, all these triangles connect, and it all had some meaning to it, and everybody was really skeptical of it, but he kind of listened to her, and he started drawing out what she was talking about on the screen as she was saying it, and it all made sense, and then, like, he was saying how this could lead to us communicating with these aliens, and would be able to realize why we existed on this earth, and like, you know, we get all this love and feelings from all these biological molecular sized organisms that are all throughout the universe, and we'd feel it all coming in at once if we could get up to like in space somewhere and like get this signal going or something. So this is what his mission was, is to get this communicating with these aliens and figure out what they're all about, right? So he built this detector that's got this magnetic coating or something underneath it, and he was explaining how it worked to this woman, and as we're looking on the screen, it's just like a whole river of these helium-3 things. They're like right there where he's just put the detector. He hadn't even started using it. It's just where he built it at. And then there's all these other little spots start popping up. I mean, he only needs like 39 molecules or something of the helium-3, and there's like whole rivers of it. We were like trying to figure out, how is this even possible? We haven't even gone anywhere yet to look for it. It just like happened to be right here where we are. So it's like everywhere. And then the woman took this religious side to it, and she was saying that, you know, it's a miracle from God. It wasn't actually here until we asked for it, and then God just put it underneath the ground for us, right? And he was saying, no, it's just everywhere all the time. We just had no idea. And then we were trying to figure out how to extract it. Do you like dig in the ground and then air just goes psh, starts shooting out? Or is it like you dig in the ground and there's like a little, like a canister, like you put into a BB gun, like of helium-3 that somebody left there? There's like some other race of aliens or humans that lived here before us put it there? Is that how it got there? or it'd be like some little crystal that you got to break apart and get the gas out of it. And it turned out it was like the BB gun. It was like little canisters that somebody left. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. But then, so he builds this spaceship. And now I'm on this team to go to the moon to look for these aliens. And it's like me and him and that woman. The conspiracy girl I don't think was there, but there was like this crazy old bag lady. I bet I got her from the fucking TV show The Weed Country. Like this one guy grows marijuana's wife. I bet she was the crazy bag lady, right? And there's this fat kid. So it was me and the two people that made sense, and a fat kid and a crazy bag lady. Okay, we're all like this science team going to the moon. So then like we land and we drop this thing down that builds this big tower. And then next to that, we drop this other little thing. It's like a solar collector. It's supposed to collect energy from the sun to give us energy to do our mission or whatever we're doing, right? I don't know what the big tower thing was. There's some kind of base or something. I don't know. But, like, we get out with some kind of... I get out with some kind of spacesuit. And maybe I go over to make sure the solar collector is working right or something. And then there's this other tower that, like, they were radio controlling it and, like, opening it up. Like, it had some ladders and some doors on it. It looked like a plain old building. Then they'd spin it, and, like, you see there's this whole underground light coming out, like, this whole bunch of shit underground. It's probably some kind of big structure or building or alien-built thing. We had to get down in there and see what it was. But then these aliens, like Starship Trooper kind of insect aliens, the Klendathu or whatever, came out and started attacking our solar collector. So we're like, get back into the ship, get back into the ship. So we got back into the ship, and we flew up into the air. And he was like, let's just bomb it all and get the fuck out of here. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Bomb it all and get the fuck out of here. He's going to just destroy our whole big tower we just built, and our solar collector, and all the alien artifacts, and just go back home and just forget about it. I was like, fuck you. He's like, I made him get this shotgun kind of weapon out that would shoot a pattern of, like, pellets, but we'd put it over to the side, so instead of hitting our solar collector, it would just hit enough to hit the aliens and leave our shit alone. And we did that, and we killed a few, and then we scared the rest of them off, so it was safe again. So he landed back down again, and then I started, I think some kind of windstorm, like a sandstorm or solar storm was coming through. We had to like be quick about this because I was getting out. I started looking for shit, and instead of going to the crazy tower that had the big underground lights and shit before, I went to like this big a semi truck because the aliens on the moon were just like us. They had semi-trucks. So, there wasn't anything in the back of it, really. Maybe like some empty boxes, cardboard boxes or something. Didn't make any sense. So then I got into the cab. It was like a real semi-truck cab. It had one of those big seats that you sit on, like a cushion. I was like, wow, this looks like the aliens were human-shaped. Like, this is really normal-looking. And there wasn't anything in the cab until you open up the glove box. Then there's like all these papers start spilling out, like Civil War documents looking like some old handwriting script. It was like, it looked like human writing, but it wasn't like, so maybe some of the letters looked similar, but most of it was alien looking. But then I was like, look, this other paper was like, it said like the Bible code on it. I'm like, what the F? What the fuck are these aliens look like the Bible? Is this like from ancient aliens or something? Like, those aliens came to the moon, but they were actually us, and then they went on somewhere else, and then like they all knew about the religion before? Or was it like God actually exists, and they went to every planet and told them about the Bible and stuff? So I didn't really know what was going on. I took all these papers back and I shoved them into the ship. I handed them to the chick, and she was like, oh, I also found like some drugs. I found like a pill in like the side of the door. I was like, oh, I'll put that in my pocket. And I found like another thing of helium-3 just for the hell of it, and I put that in my pocket. I had like some other shit. So I handed her all these papers, and I was going to hand her the pill out of my pocket, but it broke open. It was one of those capsule types. So I handed her all the little tiny little beads, whatever comes in the capsules, like they were like red and yellow, and I was like, here, analyze these, we'll see what kind of drugs these aliens were taking. Tell us about their physiology, you know. And they didn't want me to go back on another run because they said the storm's coming, we don't have time for it. But I said, nah, I'm going to chance it, you know, and I went to this other truck. There was another truck there, and I looked in the back of it, and there was like a fishing pole that was like 40 foot long. It was like 4 times longer than a normal fishing pole would be. And there was like a spool of garden hose. So I was like, I could take this fishing pole back, but I could just tell them it's a really long fishing pole because there's really nothing interesting about it. So then I went to the cab of that one, and I don't think I found anything. But then I found another semi-truck. In the back of it, I found electronics. I was like, holy shit, this is the jackpot. If we know what kind of technology these aliens had, then we'll know some shit about these aliens, right? And I found, like, it was like a regular Nintendo controller, but instead of the A and B button, it had 4 buttons. So it was like a Super Nintendo controller, but it was square like a regular Nintendo controller. These fucking aliens are on top of their game. When I came out with the first generation, they had 4 fucking buttons. I'm like, I'm taking that. And then I found, like, the cell phone, but it was kind of square like a smartphone, but it had Nokia type graphics. It was like the old green screen, it was kind of grayish green screen with the shitty graphics, but it was like a smartphone style. I was like, I'm gonna take that. What else did I find? A laser printer that was like this big. So it was like, okay, laser printer. Had all these boxes of shit, and I just like stacked them up, and I couldn't even hardly walk. I was like, shit was falling over, and I was like bringing them back to the base. And I couldn't find the base. They'd moved the ship. Or they had their own semi-truck. They had gotten out and they'd started looking for shit, and they were driving a semi-truck around, loading other shit up to it. And I saw them at one point go by, like they had a trailer on the back, but they dumped that, and they got a flatbed trailer, and were putting like the garden hose and shit on it. Like, what are you doing? We're not going to be able to take this back to Earth. You're not going to be able to take a whole truck. And then I found the fat kid. He's riding a 4-wheeler, and the fucking old bag lady has like an M16 out, and she's like running with him. So I think Arma 2 just blended into my dream at that point. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I asked the fat kid where the ship was, and he said, oh, they're over here in this truck driving around. And I had this whole big bunch of shit to take back to Earth, and then I woke up because it didn't make any sense at that point. The whole reality just fell apart. I'm like, what the hell?